So, welcome to the AIIM Search Podcast. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Chris Allaire, who's a true veteran in the tech recruitment space with over 30 years' experience. He's also the founder of Verity. So, Chris, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
No, my pleasure. And Chris, for the people that don't already know who you are, please could you begin by giving us a bit of an introduction?
So the short version is born and raised in the Northeast, obviously United States. Started my career in technology recruiting in 1998 up in Boston, Massachusetts. Moved out to San Francisco during the dot-com boom, and then just kind of all over the country from there. Ended up in New York in 2006 or 2007. Started a couple of different offices for different companies that back in those days, all in the technology recruiting space on the agency side of the business. Ended up moving to Los Angeles, built an office out there, came back to New York, built another division for another company out there. And then in 2014, that's when I realized that the technology industry, not so much technology industry, but the technology recruiting industry has been broken and it needed to be fixed, and it needed someone that could pioneer change in it, that could bring a better level of service out there, that had a better mindset on building a type of company that people really wanted to be associated with and really wanted to work for. So that was what I did. So I pioneered Verity in 2014. My now oldest daughter, who's almost 12 years old, she was 6 months old, crawling around the floor, liquidated my 401k, grabbed my laptop, sat on my dining room table with a phone, and just did what I do and started making phone calls and reaching out to people I know, reaching out to people in my network, and built my company. So Verity now is 11 years old. We have been voted twice as the best staffing and recruiting firm to work for in North America. We've been the runner-up once. We are 5 stars everywhere. We are a team-oriented environment. Truly believe that we are a culture of service. We are a human-first, people-first business. We are not an AI company. We are a human company. Or the average out there that people will see is about 75 days to fill a job, about 40 interviews to fill a job, to make an offer. Every 3 offers will get accepted. Our statistical rates are about 8 interviews to every offer. Our average fill time is about 31 days, and we have a 78% acceptance rate. So that's a little bit about us, a little bit about the business. Personally, avid cook, golfer, dog lover, husband, father, just pilot, kind of a fun guy to hang out with on the weekends. Overall, pretty good dude.
Perfect. Wow, what an introduction, and a lot for us to unpack there. And I guess the first thing, I really wanted to uncover, you mentioned at the start there, and it was, I was gonna lead into asking, the rationale behind setting up Verity. You've kind of gone straight in there. So I'd love to sort of unpack what you thought was broken and what kind of opportunity you really saw in the market where Verity could kind of stand.
So the feedback that I was getting from all the clients and candidates that I was speaking to on a day-to-day basis were basically telling me that they were treated like just a carton of milk. There was no care, there was no service, nobody had their best intentions, there was no transparency. Basically, the idea of really being treated like a used car and being treated by human car salespeople. Their voice was never being heard, never really knew what was going on. So all in all, the feedback in the industry was pretty brutal. And I actually had a person I still do business with this very day, probably about 14 years ago or 12 years ago, something like that. We met. It was funny because he mentioned to me, and it always stuck out to me, he's like, you come very highly recommended. Your reputation in the industry is impeccable. The problem is the companies you work for are garbage. And that really hit me. And that's when I decided that, this is BS. I'm out here defending the companies or the company that I work for where they should be defending me. All I'm doing is troubleshooting their screw-ups because they just don't care about people. So that was the deal. I was like, I'm going to build a team-first approach, and I'm going to outservice the competition. So our MO was to do exactly that, to deliver an unparalleled experience with everybody we interact with, providing teamwork, communication, collaboration, with that whole mentality, we're together, everyone achieves more. And with that, I just wanted to build the best company on the planet to work for. I wanted to build a company where I wanted to go to work every day, and I was proud to go to work every day. And that's what I did.
Amazing. Well, it looks like the results are speaking for themselves with the kind of accolades and recognition and business you've managed to build. I'm interested when you talk about, fixing this gap, broken in the market of candidates not getting good experience. obviously with 30 years of experience, you've been through quite testing times in the market where, when there's a shortage, candidates are king. Everyone's good at giving the high level of candidate service. I'm interested in understanding when you've been through, certain events, whether it's been mass layoffs, the dot-com bubble, financial crisis, the pandemic, recent, mass layoffs, how have you managed to maintain that level of integrity and that level of service for candidates when there's kind of a surplus of them?
So it's a good question, because I think people need to understand that relationships are a long game. Relationships aren't a short game. If you're only looking for the transaction, sooner or later people know that you're just a sales hound. And no one wants to deal with somebody who's got that big S just like printed on their forehead, or they just walk around and all they look at you as as just a bag of money. So nobody wants to be treated like, and especially in the job search business, your career is something that's pretty important to people. You looking for a job sucks. It's a pain in the ass. Trying to figure out where to go, research on the company, interviewing for a job, taking time off work to go do a job. So you need someone that's going to be working alongside of you, that has your back, that can help coordinate, communicate, take feedback for you, help you with scheduling, help you with all the transparency of the offer and everything that's going to be going on in that world. So it is a relationship business. And when you understand that you're dealing with people, you understand that people want relationships, they want connection, they want that type of stuff from you. So if you're thinking to yourself first, it's really about the best relationships possible, you will win the long game. If you're only thinking transactionally, you may win the short game for a little bit, but you will always only be playing the short game. The long game plays out. Once it's been built, now you get to maintain it. It's like planting a really smart garden. Once it's been planted, you're maintaining. If you're harvesting, it's growing for you. But if you're transactional, you're planning, ripping up, replanting, ripping up, replanting, ripping up, and then sooner or later you got to completely rebrand yourself. But you're not only rebranding your company, you're rebranding yourself, because people are going to know sooner or later that if they get a call from whatever your name is, they know that you're a sleazeball salesperson. I don't want to talk to you. You don't care about anything except for how you can place me as quickly as you can. And you know what? I've also told all my friends about you. So good luck on your own there, pal. And that's how people turn over in this business so quickly. So I've always said to myself, you know what? I just want an impeccable reputation, and I want everyone to know that I'm always going to be here for them, whether it's good times or bad times.
So it sounds like personal brand is something that's been like the kind of cornerstone of your success then personally, and then obviously moving into a Verity, that's something you've held quite dear. Is that fair?
Personal brand is one of the most important things to me, and if people don't understand what personal brand is, I'm going to tell you this. So whatever we're looking at for the date, today is mid-March 2025, right? Everybody seems to be knowing what's going on in the economy, in the U.S. government workplace. Look what Elon Musk is doing in Washington, D.C. for the government, and look at all of a sudden the slowdown in sales and the halts and boycotts of Tesla. Not because of the car, not that it's a great car in the first place, but we all know that, but because of Elon Musk, Tesla sales are down. So personal brand is extremely important.
Absolutely. And it's interesting, obviously what you were saying around, your focus on the candidate side. I was fortunate enough to interview a recruitment founder earlier this week who set up his business just before the pandemic, offering pro bono services essentially, or that's what he kind of resulted to doing during that period where none of his clients had budget to hire, were still looking to hire, but had no budgets to use agencies. Through staying kind of true to his clients and his candidates during that period, his business has absolutely blossomed coming out of, that hard kind of era. I was speaking to another founder who, during that period, there's an influx of candidates. So many people are on the market and they just needed help with their CVs. The traditional kind of recruitment agencies were massively transactional, and there was a big need that this founder identified for actually providing the training and the support. So she introduced a separate side of her business, which was kind of consulting and ongoing support, whether it was helping being a bit of a matchmaker, providing CV recommendations and career path recommendations to candidates so that they could go to other agencies and use other recruiters to get them to their sort of destination. So it's really interesting finding out some of the means and methods people have used to stay successful in those trying times. Now, with particular kind of focus on some of those periods you've been through, as I said, the dot-com bubble, the financial crisis, talk me through, what during all those periods has been integral to your success and the success of Verity.
Blue chip companies as your client base is always going to be critical. It's always fun to work with a new shiny object in the room. During the .com days, it was, whatever brand new, hence the .com, right? And whatever brand new .com company came up, pencils.com, tables.com, and everybody was trying to get rich quick. And everybody was, trying to use the shiniest, new technologies for whatever solution or whatever problem they could find, that they could use a solution for, and that's what they were doing. But then all these brick and mortar companies that are still around today, Bank of America, Franklin Templeton, Wells Fargo, Barclays Bank, they were all thriving. So I had relationships with all these massive institutions, which some of them, that's how I survived the .com boom, is when all the .coms kind of went away and started dying, I had a client base of brick and mortar. So I've always been a big fan of brick and mortar. And if you look at what's going on in today's economy, the last 3 years, we've had over the last 2.5 years, we're looking at a lot of layoffs, right? A lot of bad news in the marketplace. We're watching the most volatile market we've seen since in a long time. And there are still massive companies that have still been in business. Northwestern Life Insurance has been in business for over 100 years. MetLife, NBC, CBS, pick like some of the New York Times. Most of your banking institutions have been around for a long, long time. Bloomberg, those huge media services firms, they've been around for a long time. They're not going anywhere. So, they're going to go through bad times with the rest of us. But if you've maintained relationships with these large brick and mortar brand name institutions, you're always going to be doing just fine. The difference is during the really hot times, they may not be as quote unquote exciting to work with because they're a little larger, a little stodgier, a little slower on how they, integrate and innovate. But, not to be rude, but when the shit hits the fan, where do people want to work? Brick and mortar, stable, healthy environments. I know where I'm going to get my paycheck. I'm in pretty good shape. So, you need to have a good mix and match of your client base. But if you're always going after the new shiniest, newest thing in the room, I hate to tell you this, it's ebbs and flows on the way it works. And it's been like this for over 25 years I've been doing this job. You see something shiny, it looks neat, and then it fizzles out. The food delivery business, it went from, it was one company that was doing something, then all of a sudden it got infiltrated by the entire thing, and it was seamless, and Uber and DoorDash and pick an app that you had to use. And then what did they all do? They cannibalistic approach. They were hurting restaurants, they were hurting themselves, and now most of them are crap and pretty much out of business. Right? So there's things like that we got to remember, that there's all these ebbs and flows in the way the business works. It's understanding, it's like everything else that's going on in the AI world, this massive umbrella of things that are going on right now. Great. We built a bunch of chatbots. Good job. What's next? Right? That phase of outsourcing all your customer service to no human beings anymore is how long is that really going to last for? So that's a different conversation. But if you're only stuck in the hype, you're going to be constantly kind of tearing down and rebuilding. Appreciate the hype and you get involved with it, but then you've got a really good staple, a good foundation of companies that just know you, like you, and trust you, that you're always going to be working with. You're always playing the long game.
So it sounds like building a diverse client base is something that's been massively important to you then to weather the storm in those situations, not getting distracted by the shiny objects or the sort of sexy, shiny new companies out there, hedging your bets and diversifying in safer businesses then.
So, that's any good financial consultant's going to tell you, you've got to have a diversified portfolio. If you have a table that only has 2 legs on it, you kick one leg out from underneath you, the table falls. You've got a table with 6 legs, you kick 1 or 2 legs out from underneath you, the table's still fine.
No, makes perfect sense. And you spoke about, at the start of the podcast, you spoke about being a people-first business. And obviously this isn't just a slogan that you've got plastered up on your wall or in the business. It's something you've been recognized for, and you've won 2 awards for it, nominated runner-up the 3rd time round. So talk to me about the importance of that and how that transcends into the business. What does a people-first business mean to you?
Understanding that the humans are the lifeblood of everything you do on a day-to-day basis. It's not technology, it's not money. The people are the most important part of your business, because without people, you don't have a business. So the first thing you do is you come up with a business idea and you start putting pen to paper. The first thing you do is go find people that can help you build a business. So understanding that without people, you don't have a company. You're just self-employed, right? So treating your people extremely well transitions into how they treat people. If they love their job and they love where they work and they love their environment, they will treat other people better because they're happier. Common sense, not so common. So treat people really well, let them be extremely happy, let them excel at what they're great at, let them, help influence them to go be amazing, and then give them the ropes just to go do it. And they will produce amazing things. So even though that we've been in probably the worst recruiting economy I've seen in almost 30 years, the tenure in my organization is still anywhere from 6 to 9 years. People have been working with me. And if they haven't left by now, they're not going anywhere. So that's that. And why? Because they love their job. The job itself is trying sometimes, but it's like, this is a great company. I get autonomy. I've got backing. That's why we're 5 stars everywhere, because people hear the people they're working with and they're like, I want to work with you. Treating people extremely well translates everywhere outside of what they do. Because a lot of people don't think about this. That you're going to spend about 75% of your life working, between getting ready for work, what used to be a commute, work actually at work, and then winding down from work. That's about 75% of your life. And you're going to spend about 15% of your life asleep. So think about that. So all these other things that are going on, why not make 75% of your life extremely happy?
Yeah.
Why does work have to be a 4-letter word? Your job can be fun. It's possible.
It's such an interesting approach, and I think putting a person first is definitely, obviously, it's benefit your business. I think it's something that's quite often overlooked in businesses. I know the first kind of recruitment business I worked for, it was something I mentioned and championed at every kind of interview we had when we kind of got promotions, autonomy. And that was the big thing. That was the thing that kind of meant most to me, because if you look at it from a psychology perspective, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you feel psychologically safe in your job, feel like you can go out and iterate and, test different things out when the going gets tough, the proverbial shit hits the fan, that you're all in it together, people feel comfortable, they feel safe, and they feel, like it's a place that they can kind of give their most to. And if they don't, on the flip side, if they're kind of burdened with KPIs and targets and, are constantly feeling under stress, that's going to transcend into the way they work with clients, the way they work with candidates. And I think that all kind of spills out, and that's obviously going to be a reflection of you and your business as well. So it sounds like that's something that you've kind of got massively drilled down on. In terms of AI, I know you mentioned there's a lot of shiny objects out there, a lot of shiny tools out there. You being a people first business, kind of what's your take on AI and the rise of AI being used in recruitment at the moment?
I think AI has no business being in recruitment whatsoever. I think on the operational side, there's AI and then there's automation. Now, we like to confuse AI with automation, right? We like to confuse generative AI, like learning language models, LLMs, with automating my social media outputs, automating my job descriptions, automating my calendar, reminders, automating, things that we can automate on the back end to make our jobs easier. If you think you're going to automate your screening process, you're deadly mistaken. So what are you going to do? How are you going to, people don't understand. People confuse recruiting with resume screening. That's what recruiting has become. So all these new kids on the block that are coming in there, they're like, oh, I'm screening resumes. I got to screen 400 resumes. That's not recruiting. Okay. Recruiting is looking at someone saying, I want that person to work for me. I'm going to go get that person. Right. So now if I turned recruiting around and said, look at college sports or professional athleticism, right? They are recruited out of schools to come to that school. If you are the top recruit in the country, you're not blasting a resume out or game film out. You have school knocking down your door saying, come here, right? That's recruiting. If you're that good at what you do, you should have people constantly tagging you. All this now, how is AI going to go find you the best, back-end Go engineer in New York City? It's not, right? Because it doesn't know. So what's it going to do? Hey, go find me people with the keyword Go. You're going to narrow it down to about 14,000 people. Go find me people with the keyword Python. It's the most vastly used, widely used technology, period. That's it. It's used in distributed systems. It's used in web development. It's used in machine learning. So you have no idea. The system has no idea. And by the way, it's not AI. It's called a Boolean search. It's not a machine learning algorithm. It's just OpenAppleF, right? Go find me the word Python in this person's resume. Let me know how many times it gets delivered to my inbox. 13. Wow, this person must really know Python. Bullshit, all right? So get it out of your place, right? That people hire people. They don't hire buzzwords on a resume. No one's ever looked at a resume and said, because it has the word Python at 13 times, we're going to make this resume an offer. What do? We interview them. And then when you interview them, we have to make sure we like their personality. Because if we don't like the person, you're not going to hire them. Because you do have to work with them on a day-to-day basis. All right? So I don't care what anyone says about all this AI revolutionary bullshit that's out there. Yeah, let it write a job description for you because it's going to look the same as everybody else's. Oh, and by the way, on the flip side of that, now you get all these freaking geniuses out there who have a click of a button who are AIing your resume to make it match the job description. But now it's identical to everybody else's resume. So not only is your resume being falsified by an artificial intelligence engine to match the job description, it looks the same as everybody else's. So now you've got an AI bot trying to screen a resume that got written by an AI bot. Good luck with that one. If anyone's ever seen the game War Games, it's what happens when you play tic-tac-toe by yourself. The robots, they're just going to fight each other and there's not going to go anywhere. So what are you dealing with? These internal resume screeners that are trying to figure out how the hell am I going to sort through 700 resumes that have been optimized with some AI bot and they all look the same. We've already gotten to that point and they started realizing it and they're like, holy shit, now I actually have to go out there and cherry pick people, recruit people. And you know what? I don't have that skill set because I've been so reliant on automated technology that I don't actually own that skill. That's what's going on in the recruiting world with AI. So it has no place being here. You want to automate some back office tasks, some of your tracking systems, some of your, all the stuff that I use it for, right? My spreadsheets, give me ideas on where I can parse leads from, organize it to a sheet with tabs and a master list based on these companies in the city. That's great. I used to have an assistant that did all that stuff for me. If I tried to do it myself, it would have been taking me 6 hours. Now it's done in 15 minutes. That's a smart use of automation. Mm. But if you think a top tier candidate wants to talk to your stupid AI bot so we can attempt to screen them out of a job, you're out of your freaking mind. And good luck with that. And then you're going to turn around and wonder, why aren't we attracting the top tier people to work here?
So it sounds like that short-term, long-term mindset as well then. I think one of the key distinctions there is the difference between AI and automation. And while a lot of businesses might be kind of focusing on the short-term wins of how can I use AI to increase my output, reach more people, that spray and pray technique, and maybe increase some sort of operational efficiency in the long term, their skills are just going to be sort of diminished. They're going to bring consultants in who might be very good on the AI tools, but are going to lack those true recruitment skills. So when we come full circle and all these hiring managers are all of a sudden inundated with AI infused or AI enhanced CVs, they're coming back to the recruitment agencies who've been like, yeah, we got the applicants, but now we can't distinguish good from bad because everyone's good. Everyone's got the ideal sort of profile.
Yeah. And guess what you're going to have to do? Interview people, which no one wants to do because, not to be weird, majority of internal people that I know are just flat out fucking lazy. They push a button and they want to go on email and they want to scour LinkedIn and they want to be on social media all day long. And they want something else to do the job for them. But I hate to tell you this, you got to interview people. If you're not interviewing anybody, you're never going to get anyone hired. So good luck filling your jobs without interviewing people. So the 700 resumes that you now have in your inbox that have all been automated, you have to screen out. Have fun with that. Because I also know this, people in the agency world, people like myself that have been doing this for a long time, you have what we refer to old school people, we call it a network. People I know. People I talk to, people I trust, people that trust me, people I've known for years that I've built a reputation with, that know me, they like me, and they trust me. So when I pick up the phone and I call them and I'm like, hey, I've got a job for you, they stop what they're doing and they listen to me because they already know that Chris knows what I want. The power of networking is incredible. The power that people talk about your network being your net worth, that's power. And if you don't have one, you better learn how to make one.
So we spoke about networking, but also about personal brand earlier on. And it sounds like they're the kind of the two rocks, I guess, for your business. You've managed to weather so many storms, so many kind of market downturns. And that sort of integrity, that people first mindset, looking at these two factors as well, has allowed you to kind of stay consistent throughout these periods where people that chase those shiny objects have worked exclusively with startups, haven't gone for the bigger, maybe less sexy businesses have fallen short. What are the other thoughts you have, or any of the other kind of differentiators you've had as a business that's allowed you to kind of be successful, grow, and maintain your reputation in the market?
Find something you're good at and do it better than anybody else. Find a niche specialty. Find something that you want to own. Find a market you want to go into. It's not impossible, but it's extremely difficult to work everything. So if you're going to be in tech, which I'm in tech is a massive umbrella, right? There's data science, there's data engineering, there's DevOps, there's security, there's SRE, there's infrastructure, there's administration, there's operations, there's product, there's project management. Then on the software side, you've got all your languages. You've got Go, Python, Java, .NET, etc. Right? So .NET engineer is a very different person than a Java developer. Those are two very different materials that people work with. One works with steel, one works with aluminum, one works with wood. So you need to understand when someone says, I'm doing this, this, and this, you need to know what they're talking about. If they're a hardware engineer or an embedded systems engineer and you've never worked on anything like that, everything they say to you is just going to be Greek. So it's going to be extremely difficult to understand this stuff. So find a position you want to play and go be the best at that position.
So niche down, become a master. Become a master at one thing, not a jack of all trades. Exactly. What would your other kind of recommendations be to potentially kind of business leaders or recruiters at the moment who might be struggling with quite a testing market, just trying to figure out whether it's for them, whether it's for not, how to kind of pivot and how to potentially they're, navigating this whole AI craze at the moment? What would your recommendations, having had 30 years experience, be?
I always talk to the candidates. Talk to the candidates and find out what's hot, find out what's not, find out what's really going on out there, find out how they're using it, find out where it's most active, find out where they want to work. Candidates are the eyes and the ears and the keys to the marketplace. They're the ones who've got their ear to the ground and know exactly what's going on. So I always talk to the candidates and I want to find out what's really going on out there. Why are you using Go over Java? Why are you using Python over JavaScript? Why did PHP go away? Why are you replacing this? Why are you using this framework? Why is this popular out there? Why do you want to build blah, 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 blah? They're the ones that have all the answers. I don't know the answers. So I'm going to talk to them and find out what's hot for them, and then I'm going to work around what they are really looking for.
I think to, kind of synthesize or kind of overview kind of what we discussed here, understanding the actual role of a recruiter and understanding what can't be replaced by AI, what can't be automated, and what the difference between AI and automation is essential for recruiters in this day and age to actually understand, where their value is in the market, what service they can offer, and what can't sort of be replaced. Would you sort of agree with that?
I think the role of recruiter is more critical than ever right now because everything out there is, not everything, but the majority of the crap out there is fake. Your email's flooded with fake crap written by an AI bot. You've got fake profiles on LinkedIn. You've got fake resumes showing up. You've got people changing your name. You've got people hiding where the location is. You've got people making up companies. So you have no idea what's real and what's not real. And if you're on the recruiting and hiring side of that, how are you going to distinguish what's real and what's not? So you got to get information from somebody because you can look at numbers and letters and 3-letter acronyms on a piece of paper, but you still have no idea what someone actually does or what they want to do. You have no idea if they're even interested in what you're doing. So the game of the recruitment world is you need to work with someone that can get you people who are qualified, interested, and available. Because if one of those three things is missing, you do not have a match. If someone's super interested in working for you and they're available to start right away, but they're not qualified for the job, you're not going to get hired. But if you want to hire somebody who's qualified and available, but they have no interest in working for you or building what you're doing, that job's not going to get filled. So those three things are critical, and you need someone on your end. You need someone who's a third party who can advocate, who can be transparent, who can be that receptor of information and hear what's really going on with what people really need and what people really want, who can address those needs. That's what's more critical than ever right now. So I appreciate all the things that people are doing out there, and it sucks, but when you've got 700 resumes to go through, how are you going to do that? The way we fill jobs, I'm not going to give you 700 resumes to go through. I'm going to give you 3 to 4 candidates to interview who are qualified, interested, and available, who have been vetted by a human being, me.
Brilliant. So I guess just to kind of wrap up then, so niche down, speak to the candidates, they're your eyes and ears in the market, develop a personal brand and network, put people first, and they should be the pillars. You spoke about the table, use that sort of example earlier. If they're the pillars to your table, you've probably got a strong foundation on which you can grow a successful recruitment business in 2025 and beyond. Is there anything you would sort of add to that? or challenge?
No, I think it's a know where your network is and stay in front of your network.
Amazing. Well, look, Chris, it's been an absolute pleasure. After unpacking your story, your journey, understanding a bit more about how you stayed successful, how you stayed in the game for 30 plus years. And I think there's probably a lot of takeaways for the listeners here. I know I've certainly learned a lot. So I really appreciate your time, and I appreciate the listeners for tuning in.
It's been absolutely my pleasure. Thanks so much.